Guys, can someone confirm that you can hear me? Maybe in the chat. Okay. Yes, your DP is really not good, but anyway, it's a choice. But you want to consider a different DP. Okay, guys. Regarding PM, we want to look at. We want to remind ourselves of ABC. Then we shall look at throughput. I think there's a high chance that will come. Then also talk about. I'll talk briefly about life cycle. So I hope time. Okay, now guys, important as you join, you mute, right? So let me share the screen. Just going to say a few things. Okay, I hope you can all see my screen. So I was saying we want to talk about accounting overheads, the ABC, TPC that you guys know. Okay, we did it before in cost and management too, and it's the same here that they talk about. Okay, so there's the ABC and then the TPC. Okay, so the few differences are that someone should mute it. So I was saying the few differences are mainly on determining the OAR, okay, what we call the overhead absorption rate. This is where there's the main difference, okay? But otherwise, they are totally the same, in my opinion. Okay, because what we do is the few steps that we follow. Really, you must identify the cost drivers, actually cost centers, not cost drivers, cost centers. Okay. Back then we used to call them departments. Okay, and now we have products. Okay, it is neutral to all these. That you must follow. Sweep, if you could mute, sweep up. Guys, please mute. Am I breaking? Am I breaking, Becky? You may be the only one with the issue. Kindly confirm that you can hear me clearly. Okay, but I hope you can. Otherwise, the first step is you identify the cost centers or departments. Okay, so a true example is if you're an entity, you have maybe many departments, say marketing, maybe you have accounting, then you have admin. Those will be your departments or cost centers. Okay, if you deal in a variety of products, maybe you may have product A, product B, product C. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is you identify the overheads and classify them. Okay, so here what I mean is if it is, of course, we know that overheads are indirect costs. Yeah, these are costs that you can't attribute directly to particular. If it is a product, you can't attribute directly to a product. If it's a business, you can't attribute to a business. Okay, or a department. So those are the overheads. They are indirect in nature. So having said that, so the first thing is you identify them. Okay, that's the second step. If it's rent, for example, you're saying it's rent. If it is inspection fees, you're saying it's inspection fees. And actually, once after classifying them, you need to quantify them. Yes. And quantify them. Okay, put amounts to them. Okay, if you're saying rent, this is it's worth 20M. If it is inspection, worth 15M. Okay, then step 3, we want to look at what else? You want now to identify the cost drivers. Identify the cost drivers. Okay, these are, or you can call them activities. Cost activities. What involves or what would allow a particular overhead to increase? Okay, so 3 examples. Like for rent, usually we use area. For machinery costs, we normally use machine hours. Okay, so and a few others. All right, so those are cost drivers. However, for TPC now, TPC we don't normally use. You won't find that each overhead has its own cost driver. You find that TPC for all the overheads, if there are 5, you find that they all use the same cost driver. For instance, they may all use the same machine hours. Okay. Yes. Fine. Okay. So you get the point. So those are cost drivers. If you check your notes, they are classified differently, but the same items, the same steps you're following. Then step 4, you may want to now determine the overhead absorption rate, which I wanted to emphasize up here. Okay, now for ABC, you find that we determine the OAR, what we call the overhead absorption rate. Okay, if I may just put it the way it is here, the definition or the formula is that you have budgeted. Maria, kindly mute. Maria, please mute. Nandi, so Maria. Budgeted cost. Okay. Then we divide it by budgeted level of activity. Maria, mute and remove your video. So this is the common formula for overhead absorption rate. All right. So for TPC, what happens is, I saw what you did in class. What you did in class was you got all the overheads, and got a single OAR for each, for just the entire. Okay, this is where you combined all overheads, you got the total for all the overheads, then you divided it by the single level of activity. So that is TPC. TPC, if they had asked you to do it individually, you get just like the way it is here. Okay, the same thing you apply. However, this level of activity is constant for TPC, whereas for ABC, it keeps changing. That you'll talk of rent costs, then you say 20 million, then the level of activity will be dependent on area. You'll talk of inspection costs, then the level of activity will be maybe inspection hours. You talk of what else? Machine costs, okay? Then the level of activity will be maybe machine hours. So they vary or they change. Okay. However, for if you're talking of say rent, if the the company decided to absorb their overheads based on maybe machine hours. You find that for rent, you will use machine hours. For inspection, you still use machine hours, and the rest. Okay. So having said that, allow me continue. So you determine the OAR, and then lastly, I think you absorb. Okay. On the absorption is what you do here is you get the OAR and apply it with the level of activity. Level of activity. Okay. For each product or for each cost center. Okay, it's a department and everything. Okay? Shall I just talk about it more as we do a number? So, guys, these are the steps. Okay, once you have this, if they want you to determine if the required is determine maybe which will be, I think, determine the production cost per unit. Okay, you find that you have to get the totals that you get from here. Totals, then you divide by the number of units. Okay, so you normally say you get total production cost. Okay, you add everything. You add direct costs plus the overheads and divide by the number of units. Okay, entire or the level of production. So that's how we're going to be using this. Okay, so let me get your number and we see. If you have any questions, you may ask for now, because at the end of the day, this is what you're going to apply. Okay, these steps. Just master your steps. Just come, draw your format, move step by step, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so if I get an example, unfortunately, what I have is really limited. Okay, so I mainly have a class and what you have even looked at before, but for learning purposes, I'm sure it will work. There's someone, I think it is Esther. If you may, okay, I don't think it's Esther, someone else. Christine, if you may remove your video, I think it will be fine. Okay, someone has a video on. So for ABC, let me see if I can get an example. The ones I have here, TPC, T. A few will be to go. Guys, as you join, please mute. I'm trying to get please, if you have a question, just mute, just chat. Because the network is not okay, it's raining. Okay, I'm really, if someone could send me a question, if you have it, please help me share, because I'm taking forever to get mine. Shakira, please mute. Okay, guys, maybe as I get this question, let's do what a throughput. Okay, a throughput question. Because it's taking forever, yeah. So as I get it, let's look at the throughput question. At least for throughput, there are many questions. Yeah? I can share one here. Okay, so sorry about that. I hope you can see this question. We're going to have the throughput question as I get the ABC question, because we are wasting time. So there's a question here which says, okay, this is the question. It says that it is Forex Limited. Okay, maybe before I share the question, you can look at the brief about throughput accounting ratios, so that I speak with reference to what we have. So I sorry about this one. I'm going to get the question as soon as I finish throughput. So the throughput ratio. Okay. The throughput accounting ratio. Someone is not having her mic off, please. So the throughput accounting ratio, what we do is, I hope you can see that throughput. Okay, these are formulas, you just have to know them. Okay, so we have what we call return per factory hour divided by cost per factory hour. You're still in Zoom, kindly mute. Okay, so these are formulas that you must know as you enter an exam. Check your WhatsApp, please. Okay, I'll check it in a few, since I've already begun on this one. Okay, so you have return. Okay, now the issue is you have to know what it is. Now this one alone is a formula of its own. It has many, I think it has only two. Return is the same as throughput. So if you see throughput per factory hour, actually it's the same as return factory hour. So we normally get return or throughput per unit divided by factory hour per unit, or hours per unit. Okay. Alternatively, you can use or we can use total throughput divided by total factory hours. By factory hours, we mean the bottleneck. Okay. We say factory hours. Okay, this is actually bottlenecks. When someone tells you a bottleneck, what they mean is that limiting factor. That limiting factor of production. Okay, that is bottleneck, a limiting factor in production. Okay, so if you have, for example, say labor hours, you have machine hours, you have maybe, let's take an example of two. You have labor hours and machine hours. The list, not necessarily the list, but what is not enough to exhaust all production is what we call a limiting factor. If you find that you need 5 hours to maybe produce 20 kgs, okay, let's put the scenario here. You have labor hours, then you have machine hours. Okay. Assuming it's a single product, and in total you need maybe 20 hours. Okay, then this one you need maybe 15 hours. Looking in total. Okay, what would you think is the limiting factor in this case? Okay, if you have labor hours as 20, you have machine hours as 15, and you're producing the same number of units. Okay, that maybe you need for single labor hour, it's equivalent maybe 5 kgs of production. Okay, and we're saying also here for a single hour of labor of machine, you need 4 kgs. What would be your limiting factor in this regard? I can take. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, any suggestions? What do you think is the limiting factor? If for a single labor hour you produce 4 kgs, and for a single machine hour you produce 4 kgs still, and you have 20 hours, and you have for labor, and you have 15 for machine, what will be your limiting factor? Kindly contribute as you give me your answers there in the chat. I can continue and emphasize the issue of costs. Okay, we have an answer here. We add no, we don't add. We don't add Sumaya. Anyway, in short, here the limiting factor, like I said, is we say that in case you want to produce as much as possible, yeah, as much as possible, what will be your limiting factor? The limiting factor is the first shortage that you get. Now, like in this case, yes, machine hours would be the limiting factor, because whereas you would use 20 hours for maybe producing particular kgs, machine hours are not enough. Okay, that at the end of the day, if you are saying total hours in total per day. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that in 20 okay, full capacity, if we are supposed to use the 20 hours, it's saying this 20 times 4, this will give us what? 80 kgs. Okay, that is at maximum. But remember that if you're producing, you will need as much labor as is machine hours. So if a machine gives you 15 hours and labor gives you 20 hours, but you're producing the same kgs, we're saying that you will need extra here. You need an extra machine, okay, to cater for the 5 that is missing, so that you make 20 hours as well. So what does that mean? It means that if you only have 15 machine hours, you will only need, you only produce 15 times 4. You only produce 60 kgs. So you can't produce the 80 that labor needs. Okay, so our limiting factor in this case will be machine. Reason being, if you exhaust all the machine, the best you can produce is 50 kgs. You won't make it to the 80. The extra 20 will be lacking. So in this regard, we say that machine hours are our limiting factor. Anything that stops you from maximizing your capacity is a limiting factor. Okay, that's what we call a limiting factor. I hope I explained it well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask again. Now, that was part of the whole thing. Now we go to cost. Okay. Now the cost per factory hour, just like return, is the same thing. That that for cost per factory hour, we're saying it will be total cost. Okay, let's use per unit first. Total cost per unit divided by factory hour per unit. Okay, that is the formula. Alternatively, you would use these totals, where you say total cost divided by total factory hour. You still have the same answer. Total cost divided by total factory hour. So let's see how we can apply this. Now, of course, this usually applies for a single product. This is only for a single product. Let's try out this example. Okay, here you're given two products, but you're going to concentrate on one. So you're going to give maybe A alone and see how we can apply this. So they say that you have that's the company. It sells two products A and B. So in this case, we're saying it's producing only B. Okay, let's use B. Each of which passes through the same automated production. So we don't mind. So the following estimates were made. So you have production unit data. So meaning that these costs are per unit. Production unit data. So for B, I'm saying we're going to first concentrate on a single product. So the same production units for B are 4,500 units, with the selling prices being at 70,000. That's for B. Total fixed production overhead cost is 140 million. Okay, 750,000 for a single product. Still emphasizing the single product. Okay, this is absorbed on the basis of hours. That's no problem. So I want you to compute the required bit. We want you to compute. Compute the TAR. Compute the throughput accounting ratio. Okay, this is the information we have. As a matter of fact, they're saying that the bottleneck hours required guys. Guys, behave, kindly mute. Okay. So I was saying, so here you're given information. They're saying that the bottleneck hours required per product, specifically for B, is 0.7. Okay, then they want you to decide on which product mix. Okay, now in this case, I'm saying just get the throughput accounting ratio for a single product. Okay, actually, it's part 2 here. Compute the throughput accounting ratio for product B. So how do we go about it? Now you summarize your question. Okay, because at the end of the day, for throughput, like you're seeing the formula here, what you need to do is you're going to compute throughput, this part here, throughput per unit. Okay. Then and therefore get us the return per factory hour. And later get us the total cost. Okay, and divided by factory hours. So you're supposed to summarize your information based on the formulas. Okay, don't look for many things. So let me even put them here. So from the question, they told us that one, the selling price. The selling price helps you to get the throughput. So selling price for B, it was given as 70,000. Okay. I'm summarizing the information, so nothing to worry about. Okay, then of course, you know, the throughput, you need the material cost. Okay. In this case, it was per unit. Okay, and they told us it was 24,800. Okay, that's the information they gave. Okay, they gave you variable costs. Okay, but that's not our business. We, as accountants using the throughput counting technique, we know what we need. So we only need this. So this will help you to get throughput. Throughput per unit. Okay, per unit. So it's the difference. It's given by the selling price minus direct material cost. So that's your throughput. Okay. Now you're trying to get close to what they need here. So this is throughput, guys. It's join late, man. Always mute. Let me see what's the question. We are not seeing the answer sheet. We're not seeing the answer sheet. Okay. Sorry about that. Thanks. Okay, I hope you can see it now. Okay. So we're saying you extract the information. Okay, this is for product B alone. Product B. Okay, you get the selling price, you get the material cost per unit. It helps you to get the throughput per unit. Right. So the other thing you're interested in is the bottleneck. Okay, the bottleneck, I already said, it is the limiting factor. Okay, and here it was given, I think. I can take you back to the question. Okay. Well, yeah, they said if the maximum capacity of once they give you maximum, yes, know that's the limiting factor. Whenever there's a maximum, whenever there's a limit, they say that this is a limit, this is the maximum. That's the best you can have. That's a limiting factor. It's a bottleneck. Okay, so here they gave us hours as the limiting factor. So when you come and check in your information, you find that they even help you to compute the how would I put it? Okay. They say that the bottleneck hours required per product or per unit is 0.7 for B, for A it's 0.8, but we're interested in B, which is 0.7. So they gave you the bottleneck. Okay. So you come here and you put 0.7. Okay, so that's our bottleneck. So our task is to determine the return, okay, here, return costs or return per factory hour, which is the same as throughput per factory hour, which is the same as throughput per unit divided by factory hour per unit. Okay, so here, return per factory hour. Okay, it will be given by the throughput per unit divided by the bottleneck per unit. Okay. Yeah, they said, okay. How can I put it? Yeah, they're saying that factory hour per unit. It was given in the question clearly. Okay, it is 0.7. So therefore, to apply the formula, you just get the throughput per unit divided by 0 per unit. Okay. If we're given the number of units, okay, I think I should first concentrate on per unit alone, not to confuse you. So that's the throughput per unit. Now the next task is to get the cost per factory hour. Okay. So that information was still given. That information was still given. So you're given costs or factory costs, and total was given as 140 actually.
Katabazi, we are not seeing the Excel sheet.
Okay. What you actually seeing it? Let me share again. Okay. Thanks. So we're given the fixed cost as 140 million. Okay. Then we're also given factory hours, total factory hours, or the limiting factor. Okay, they're given as 11,000. Okay. So therefore, for me to get my cost per factory hour, just apply the formula. It is given by the total cost here. Since we're given totals, use totals. Total cost divided by total factory hours. So when you divide, you have 12,795. So therefore, my throughput accounting ratio is given by what you got in the beginning, which is the return or the throughput per factory hour, which is this, divided by cost per factory hour, which is that. So you just divide and get your answer. So to be this, divide by that. Okay, and it's 5. Excel sheet. I've shared the Excel sheet, haven't I? I've shared the Excel sheet. Okay. So guys, that is how we get throughput accounting ratio for a single product. Just look out for a few things. The selling price, because the selling price helps you to get the throughput per unit. Okay. Look out for material cost because you need it. It also helps you to get the throughput. Okay. Throughput is given by selling price minus direct material cost. That's the formula. So therefore, it is selling price per unit minus cost per unit. If you had them in totals, total values, okay, sale revenues, okay, assuming our number of units were maybe 1,000. Okay, you have it as this times this, okay, and then still your factory, your material cost will still be that, okay. Then still your throughput, total now throughput will be revenues or sales minus total direct material. You still have that. The same thing. So the bottleneck also must not be per unit, but rather total. So it will be this times the number of units that you're producing, which is 700. So when you divide, you still get the same answer. You have this divided by that, giving you 64. Okay. So this remains the constant. So you have the same answer. All right. We didn't see how we got it. Got what? How I got what? Okay, maybe I'll just get